I had worked in social work as a foster care case manager and felt very called to be a foster parent.
It was the worst time of my life. And I can say that for sure. It was the worst time of my life. Having to be told that, it's not gonna work out. I didn't feel like I wanted to even live anymore. I felt like I was just completely worthless, that if I couldn't be a mother, what was I supposed to be?
Babies were not really something that we were looking at until we got a phone call for a 5-month-old. When the social worker described the situation on the phone, I said, yes, we would love to have him. I hadn't even talked to my husband about it yet, and usually our system was they call and I say, let me talk to my husband, and then we call back.
It was daily just torture for me, to be honest. Like, I was just so depressed and having to just basically sit there and wait for my next court date was what I was having to do. And then the court date would come and it would just crash. It would just be awful all over again, and then I'd have to wait for the next one.
You only hear from social workers what they have on paper. And so very often it's negative, not about the person, but the circumstances. And it's easy to go down a road that thinks, how could you? Or why would you do this? And my husband and I both just stood back and said, we don't have a clue where she has been and what she's been through. And so we're not going to have that mentality that we're stepping in to rescue this child from something, because that's not really the root anyway of family, whether it's foster care or biological adoption, whatever. The root is that we care for each other because we've been cared for. We've been rescued by God.
I felt like I was being judged on every move that I make. It wasn't good for me. I was just constantly being questioned of, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? I was 21 maybe, and that's just hard to go through. Just kind of ripe as a adult, having to go through that and never having to deal with the system before, and just going straight into it and just being asked all these questions that you have no idea how to answer.
You very quickly have to jump into going to court, taking them to the doctor, the child, and doing a lot of things in the beginning to make sure that you're doing providing everything the child needs immediately. And so the first thing that was frightening and uncertain and brought a lot of anxiety was stepping into the court atmosphere and knowing we were going to meet birth mom and not knowing what that was going to be like.
It was really awkward. I remember the exact moment that I saw her. I was like, ah! Like, it was just so crazy to see her, and I'm like, oh my God, I know she just thinks that I'm the worst type of person in the world. And I don't even know why she's here right now and she's allowing me to even see him. I just didn't feel like I even deserved that at that point. I was so low down on myself that I didn't even feel like I deserved to see him anymore.
We wanted to be available for birth mom as well, if that was something that was doable, and we didn't have any idea what it looked like. We just knew that the whole picture of foster care and adoption, that it had to be bigger than just being available to care for a child.
I mean, my biggest fear was that I was never going to be able to see him again, that, after all this was finalized, that they would just make the decision where I couldn't see him anymore. That was my biggest fear at the time.
We were able to navigate the system fairly easily, but it wasn't like that for her. And I could tell the challenges that she was walking through. It very much seemed like, wow, this is a breeze for the foster family, and the birth family, really, it's just not.
It was a whirlwind. It really was. Just, there was all kinds of steps that you had to take, and I followed that. I did. I followed that to a T, and I thought, at the end of this, I'm gonna get the outcome that I want. It didn't work out like that, but you know, I see now that I'm okay now that it didn't work out. I was not okay, maybe even a year ago, I still wasn't okay with this happening. But I've kind of just grown to be okay with everything going on and be happy about it too.
At the beginning of the journey, we had lots of doctor's appointments. She came to every single appointment. When she walked in the room, this child lit up. When she laid eyes on him, she lit up. And so we knew that we were able to stand back and allow this to flourish, not squash what was there, because we were not part of his story. We came in, you know, he was a few months old and she had his story and she carried him. The truth is, awkward and uncertain as it was in the beginning, honestly, that quickly dispelled over just realizing that what could really happen here was a relationship, not stay away, we have him now, but a relationship. It was awkward, and I honestly didn't care. I really just felt like if I can convey anything to her, it's going to be like, you are safe here with us. Not just the child, but you are.
As time went on, we really started to know each other, and I pictured her more as a mother figure for me than anything. And that took a lot of time. Like, you know, we had a lot of ups and downs, and the downs were really down, and they were my fault too, because I put myself in positions where I shouldn't have put myself in those positions. And I was only thinking about myself in that moment. We got past that, and every boundary that she gave me, I just wanted to do everything in my power to help fix that. I wanted to do everything in my power to help build our relationship back up. So that was hard, but the goods have been really, really good. I could tell that how much love that they had for him, and, you know, getting to see the fact that he had a brother too, and they were already a family. I didn't want to break that apart, and I think that was good for him to have, that he could actually be in a family, and with me he couldn't be in a family. I met with Kara and Alan, and I had decided that I didn't want to fight in court anymore, that my best option was to just let them adopt Eve, because I knew that they were good people, that he was thriving. He was thriving from day one with them, and I knew that was the best decision to be made, and I was hoping for the best. I was really hoping that I could still be involved in his life, because that's all I wanted.
There wasn't anything that scared her more than the possibility of being permanently disconnected from him. And so this was an opportunity for us, but for him and her to stay connected, where the system didn't have to be a wound, you know, that she had to recover from throughout her life.
It gives me something to look forward to. It gives me something to plan on, like how I plan like stuff out for the future, like this summer, like stuff that I want to do. I want to go to Venture River, I want to go hiking or stuff like that. It just gives me a sense of purpose, honestly. It makes me feel like I'm doing something and I'm involved in somebody's life that has an impact on me, and I have an impact on them.
At his preschool, they have Fridays that are show and tell. And every week they have a letter they focus on. And on Friday, they are to bring things from home that start with that letter of the alphabet. And when the letter P came around, we were talking about pictures. And he ran to we have this huge bulletin board on a wall in our living room, and he ran and grabbed the picture off of there with him and her and said, picture, I can take this picture. And when he shared that picture at school, he said, see, I have 2 moms. That's just the way it should be.
Like she said, that his face just lights up, and my face just lights up. I just enjoy every single time I get to see him. Every moment that I get to have with him, I just completely enjoy it. I'm just overwhelmed with joy to have to see him, because I know that we just have such a deep connection, and he knows that I'm his Macy. That's what he calls me. He either calls me Mommy or Macy, and I'm cool with both. But he says my Macy, and that just makes it 10 times more sweet.